Percy was very excited to see his friend and challenged him to a race. "Oh, I don't know," said Thomas. "The mail is too important to take risks." "Don't worry," said Percy. "I know the route as well as I know my own buffers." When all the mail was loaded and his driver had been given instructions as to where to deliver the mail, Thomas started to leave. "Can't catch me!" shouted Percy, and he rushed out of the depot. Unfortunately, the cold weather had iced up the points. Percy slid over them and came off the rails. "Oh, no!" cried Percy. "What are we going to do now?" said Thomas. One of the postmen telephoned the Fat Controller at home. It was very late and the Fat Controller was just about to go to bed. Nervously, the postman explained the situation. As he finished, he said, "So I'm afraid Percy has been rather naughty. What do you think we should do?" The Fat Controller was still in a good mood after Christmas. "I won't be able to arrange a crane until we are less busy. Tell Thomas he would have to do his best to deliver all the mail himself. As for Percy..." The Fat Controller started laughing. "Accidents will happen, I suppose. Ho, 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 ho." Percy was glad that the Fat Controller was not angry with him. "I'm sorry, Thomas," he said. "Will you be able to manage?" "I should think so," replied Thomas. "Yes, I'm sure we will. Won't we, Annie and Clarabel?" Annie and Clarabel weren't at all sure, as dozens of sacks filled with letters and parcels were transferred from the mail train to them. "They're very heavy," complained Annie. "I'm full," moaned Clarabel. "Percy is silly," they grumbled together. But Thomas remembered the time one winter when he wouldn't wear a snowplough and had ended up stuck in a snowdrift. "Don't be too hard on him," he said to the carriages. "We all make mistakes." Soon all the mail had been transferred into Annie and Clarabel. The postmaster explained carefully to Thomas and his driver the places where the mail had to be dropped off, to be collected next morning and then delivered through the letterboxes. "Are you sure you'll be all right now?" he said. "Of course," replied Thomas. The fireman stoked the boiler and the driver opened the valve. Thomas's wheels started turning. With much creaking and groaning from Annie and Clarabel, they moved slowly forward. "It really is heavy," gasped Thomas. Fortunately, the first part of the track out of the mail depot was downhill. Before long, they were making good speed. The stars shone brightly in the winter sky. As the night wore on and his driver dropped off mail sacks at the stations, Thomas's load grew lighter. Annie and Clarabel were beginning to enjoy being out at night. They chattered noisily until the driver told them to be quiet. When Thomas stopped to take on water, the two carriages fell fast asleep. "Shall we wait a while?" asked the fireman. "I'm tired as well." "We can't," said Thomas. "We have to deliver all the mail before people get up in the morning." Just then, the driver looked up at the sky. There was not a star to be seen. "We'd better get a move on," he said. "I think a snowstorm is on its way." Reluctantly, Annie and Clarabel woke up. Thomas and the mail train made good time, but even so, dawn was breaking when they arrived back at the engine shed. The Fat Controller was waiting for them. "Well done, everybody," he said. "Make sure you get a good sleep now. We should have a crane ready to put Percy back on rails tomorrow, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to go out again tonight." "That's all right," said Thomas, as he shunted safely back into his shed. "We enjoyed ourselves, didn't we?" But Annie and Clarabel were sound asleep. His driver said, "Good night," or "Is it good morning, Thomas?" Thomas looked out of the shed window. He thought to himself, "I must ask the driver to fit the snowplough when he comes back," and then fell fast asleep.